It took Miami's expansion Dolphins 4 years to emerge from the wilderness. But when they did, the team found that edifice called the Orange Bowl could be like a palace. In the early years, empty seats stretched endlessly as far as the eye could see. Today, those same seats are filled with fans who not only cheer for the Dolphins, but try to look like them too. The past several years, there's been plenty for Orange Bowlers to see. In 1970, after 4 years of futility, Miami made the playoffs, and last year bettered that by winning a championship and playing in the Super Bowl. It seems difficult to improve upon that record, but this year's Dolphins just might do it. They seem to have undergone the transformation from a surprise team to perhaps the strongest, most respected club in the entire National Football League. In 1972, they remained the single unbeaten team in pro football. The reasons are many. Fine young players who have blossomed under the unerring care of head coach Don Shula. But Shula has installed more than talent and discipline, for the Dolphins are a closely knit team in the truest sense of the word. Their potential seems unlimited. The San Diego Chargers are a team in another sense. Though the franchise is one of the original ones in the old AFL, the Chargers are really just getting to know one another. Coach Harlan Savari has brought in hordes of veteran players by way of trades, and his program seems to be working. This once was the team of the lightning bolt, the quick strike, and bold thrust. Now the bolt remains mostly as a symbol, as the team depends more upon a vastly improved defense. Last Sunday in Miami, they were to meet their sternest test in the NFL Game of the Week, the San Diego Chargers versus the Miami Dolphins. San Diego had first possession, and behind All-Pro guard Walt Sweeney, Mike Garrett sprung for 21 yards. But that was all for the Chargers on this series, where Miami's defense smothered the Charger running game. On their first series, Miami too appeared to be going places. A Bob Greasy pass to Paul Warfield at the left sideline. Then San Diego's defense, led by number 75, Deacon Jones, stopped the Dolphins cold. The former Ram great is the leader of Savari's all-new front four of Ron East, Dave Costa, number 87, former Packer Lionel Aldridge. On this first Miami series, the Charger front four pressured Greasy into a third down fumble recovered by Miami's Larry Little. The next time Miami had the ball, they were able to open up a bit. Then occurred the most important play of the game and perhaps the entire season for the Miami Dolphins. Watch quarterback Bob Greasy closely, for it will be the last time you'll see him in action this year. Greasy, under pressure, threw a long pass for Jim Kick that number 24, Bob Howard, should have intercepted. But the crowd of over 80,000 sat in stunned silence, for further downfield, Bob Greasy sat injured on the polyturf. Deacon Jones had fallen on him just after he released the ball, and Don Shula's worst fears were realized. Greasy suffered a fractured right leg and dislocated ankle. The Dolphins' leader, last year's leading passer and most valuable player in the AFC, will almost certainly miss the rest of the season. Greasy's departure set up a situation tinged with irony, for like everything else, Shula was prepared for even this eventuality. Greasy's replacement is former Dolphin nemesis Earl Morrall, for whom being a reliever is not foreign. For 1968, under Shula in Baltimore, he replaced John Unitas and led the Colts into the Super Bowl. Then he was named Player of the Year. And now, 4 years later, at the age of 38, Earl Morrall once again found himself a starting quarterback. On this series, Morrall took the team into field goal position, where from the 37, Garo Ipremian got the first score of this football game. Miami had scored and led 3-0, but the price they paid was a large one. Now, with 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter, San Diego, led by their veteran quarterback, John Hadel, began a drive of their own. Hadel, who for so long has been the focal point of the Chargers' former big play philosophy, now used the short passing game to perfection. Employing down and outs and flat passes to his backs, the Chargers moved to the Miami 13. A repeat of the last play shows a good play fake to one back, Sid Edwards, and the perfect position by the other, number 20, Mike Garrett. However, here Miami stiffened, and San Diego retaliated with a Dennis Partee field goal that tied the game 3-3. Just before the end of the first quarter, San Diego's kickoff was taken by Mercury Morris, who burned to the 25, then almost gave the ball away. Morris is a starter this year in Shula's new three-back offense, but his penchant for losing the ball tends to negate his great moves and speed. However, on their first series of the new quarter, San Diego made a mistake that was far more damaging. Safety Dick Anderson accepted the gift and went 44 yards to score. A repeat of this amazing play shows Garrett dropped the handoff, then flicked the ball straight up into the hands of the opportunistic Miami defender. Once again, Miami's no-name defense had broken open the game. The handkerchiefs came out, and the Dolphins now led 10-3. Midway in the second quarter, the Dolphin defense forced another Charger error. Operating from their 53 defense, Lloyd Mumford intercepted Hadel's pass over the middle. In the 53, Mumford is fifth man in the secondary, while Bob Matheson, number 53, and the man the defense is named for, acts as both a linebacker and defensive end. The defense is designed to add extra pressure on the passer while increasing the number of defensive players downfield to take advantage of that added pressure. Like so many things for Miami this season, it worked to blackboard perfection. After the interception, Earl Morrall took over the offense. A repeat of the touchdown play shows excellent protection, a perfect pass, and a wide-open receiver in Howard Twilley. Twilley's is another great story among many on these Miami Dolphins. He's always been called too small and too slow, yet for 7 years has been making the clutch play. This season in particular, Twilley seemed doomed to a subordinate role when Miami acquired lightning-quick Marlon Briscoe. But Briscoe is out with a pulled muscle, as is highly rated Otto Stowe. So Howard Twilley once again got the call and made the most of it. Because of him, his team now had a 14-point lead. Next time Miami had possession, they seemed to be going places again, as Morrall kept the passing game clicking. But the Chargers were able to stop the drive by stopping Miami's strong suit, the run. As usual, number 39, Larry Zonka, blocked beautifully for buddy Jim Kick, but Deacon Jones came from across field to stop the play. Here's another look at what makes the Dolphin running attack the best in football. Watch number 66, All-Pro guard Larry Little handle his man. The 265-pound Little simply steamrolls cornerbacks and linebackers alike. He is the cornerstone of an offensive line that is thought by many to be the best in the game today. Miami's last offensive play of the half was a bomb to Twilley, who had his man beaten down the right sideline. But Morrall's pass was short, and Bob Howard muffed his second interception attempt of the game. As for the Charger offense, it was virtually non-existent, as Miami's defense, led by number 84 Bill Stanfill, stormed and stopped runner and passer alike. San Diego had managed some sporadic yardage, but was stopped when it needed it most. The credit, of course, goes to Miami's well-known no-name defense. As defensive captain Nick Buonaconti walked off the field at the end of the half, he and his teammates received a standing ovation from the Orange Bowl crowd. The tribute was well-deserved, for although Miami's offense had played well enough, it was their defensive counterparts who controlled the game, made the big plays, and were directly responsible for 14 of the 17 Miami points on the scoreboard. The second half opened with all eyes, particularly those of Don Shula, riveted on Earl Morrall. Would he and the Dolphins' offense be able to keep from making mistakes, control the game, and hold on to their 14-point lead? Mercury Morris water-bugged his way to the 35 to set up the Dolphins' opening series of the second half. It was on this first series of the half that Miami showed that while they may have lost their star quarterback, their march to the Super Bowl may not lose a step, for nothing had changed. The same game plan, the same flawless execution. Set up the passing with the bullish runs of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and the perfect blocking that goes with it. It was the same gourmet's recipe that had given the Dolphins an undefeated record thus far. Sprinkle the rushing with a dash of passing. You double cover Warfield, they go to number 81, Twilley. You double Twilley, it's back to the graceful guru of all wide receivers, number 42, Paul Warfield, and you wind up 6 points further behind. Thus was the fate of the Chargers on this first series of the half. On a repeat of the score, we see that Morrall kept Kick and Zonka back to block. They and the offensive line gave Morrall enough time to find oil in New Jersey. All he found was gold. It was 24-3, and in Miami, that means time for the little old ladies with the little white hankies. Each team had the ball only once in the third quarter. The Chargers came right back with a clock-consuming ball control drive of their own, although Nick Buonaconti delayed its start. But with an explosive offense, the Dolphins' defense wasn't able to key on one phase of the Charger attack. and Hadel soon took advantage using the short pass to his back, Mike Garrett. On a repeat from our end zone camera, watch how even on a completion, the Dolphins' defense makes you pay. Number 75, Manny Fernandez, was a standout this day with 9 tackles or assists, but Hadel kept the drive going with a smart draw play to Sid Edwards. Once inside Dolphin territory, the drive stalled. Watch number 53, Bob Matheson. On 3rd down, Hadel tried an end around, but Matheson didn't go for the fake and slowed down Gary Garrison, who was finally corralled by Lloyd Mumford and Matheson. The 53 defense had worked again. This loss caused a field goal attempt, but it was partially blocked and fell into Jake Scott's hands. His return set up the Dolphins offense at their own 42 as the 3rd quarter ended. The Dolphins defense had done it again. Miami and Larry Zonka began this drive, their second of the half, as if they would again roll right into the Charger end zone. The running of Zonka is a rare sight indeed, as he carves out chunks of 8 and 10. But the offensive line deserves a special tribute. Watch them on a repeat of the Zonka runs. An aged pachyderm could have crawled through that hole, and the Dolphins' right guard and tackle, Larry Little and Norm Evans, wedged out an even bigger one on this one. Morrow was mixing his plays as well as Bob Greasy always does. He took them to the Chargers' 40 on this flip to Jim Kick. But on a 3rd and 3, the Dolphins came up short. Number 75, Deacon Jones, was kept away from Morrow, but he was tripped up by Lionel Aldridge for a loss, and Garo Epremian came in. If Miami has a flaw this season, it's Epremian, who is not as sharp as he was last year. Garo missed from 49 yards, and the Chargers still were in the game with 12 minutes left. Hadel kept them in it with a picture play-action fake good for 16 yards and followed it with a nicely executed screen to Sid Edwards that took the Chargers across midfield. In fact, the Chargers would outgain the Dolphins in total yards. But they would lose, and lose partly because of the turnover. Here the line picked up a blitz, but Hadel threw right into the teeth of the Dolphin zone. Jake Scott's beautifully timed theft and return set Miami up at their 20. It seemed as if Shula's defense was putting out a little extra for Morrow. Meanwhile, Shula's offense was hurting even more. Zonka would sit out this series with an injury, and so would Mercury Morris, who was through for the day. The series lasted only 2 plays, however, as Zonka's replacement, Charlie Lee, fumbled, and the Chargers recovered on the 19 with 8 minutes to go, still with a slim chance if they could score immediately and then sooner. San Diego scored, but it took too long. A nice run by Garrett and a pass interference call on number 25, Tim Foley, put the ball on the 1. But even at the goal, the Dolphins make it tough for you to score on their goal line defense. Finally, a Hadel to Edwards pass put the Chargers on the board for the first time since the first quarter. On a repeat, we will see that this score didn't come that easy. In fact, it may have been a busted play, as Hadel had to run for his life, but knew where Edwards was and hit him perfectly. It was 24-10 with 5 minutes left. Their first touchdown in 55 minutes had come hard, and the Chargers' offense was weary. It was to be the last time they touched the ball, as predictably, the Sundance kids dutifully ran out the remaining 5 minutes with 3s, 4s, and 5s, eating up the clock on their way to their 5th straight victory. It was fitting that Earl Morrall sat on the final few seconds himself, for he was the big story of the game. That is, he and the Dolphins' defense. For while it was true that Morrall had guided Miami ever onward in the same manner Greasy has done, not making any mistakes, using his strengths, this victory was really a tribute to the Dolphins' defense, which had held an explosive offense in check. It serves as warning to the rest of pro football that a great defense can more than make up for an injured star quarterback, when all the other elements of victory are as healthy as those of the Miami Dolphins.